we are going to keep looking at the numbers that you add to the buttons in lesson 14, the digitizer book. So we're going to go a little bit fancier now, more creative. So here's our buttons and our numbers. And as I mentioned before, the numbers are kind of dull looking. They're just simple fonts, and there's so many different fonts you can choose from. It seems a waste to limit yourself. And the tool we're going to use is under the Express Tools tab at the top of the screen. And it's the Explode, oh, where is it? Let's close that. It's the Modified Text button, Explode Text, TXTEXP. And what that actually does is it takes your text and turns it into almost like a stencil like you would use to paint numbers on the curb of your house. But there's a couple things we need to do before we get there. So the first thing is change your visual style to wireframe, because we need to set the UCS. I don't know if you noticed, the view cube is all out of whack. So we need to set the UCS so that this top face of the button is the current UCS. So we're going to type in UCS, and I'm going to type in 3. I'm going to pick the lower left corner for my origin, something along the X, something along the Y. So now if I click on my view cube, I should be able to look straight up and down on it. Okay. Now the next step is to change the font. So we're just going to go to annotate. We're going to leave our style the same, but we're just going to change the font. So I'm going to start with something simple, like Arial. Anything with a TT, that stands for true type, it gives you more character. So click that, click close, and the numbers change. Now let's turn off the button layer so that I only have the number layer on. So I'm going to go to the Home tab. I'm going to go to Layers. I'm going to go to Isolate. Okay. So the next thing is I go to Express Tools, Explode Text, and I grab all that text, hit Enter. And what it did, oh, thank you. What it did is transform each one of those into a stencil that's made up of 2 closed polylines. And as you know, closed polylines can be transformed very easily into 3D solids. So the easiest way to do that is, we're in 3D modeling, we go to Home. Just going to do 1, extrude. So instead of trying to combine the 2 polylines, I'm just going to extrude them both and give the computer a second to catch up. And you can see that I can make it as tall as I want. So I'm going to say 0.01. That's a little small. Whoops. So I'm going to zoom in. Now I've got 2 closed 3D solids that I can union together. Select my objects, hit Enter, and now it's 1. I can then move my top face up in Z, 0.01, makes it a little thicker. Now if I turn my buttons back on and change from wireframe to X-ray, you can see the contrast. But here's where it gets really cool. I can either union these so that my numbers are embossed, or if I take my number and I push it down, say 0.01, so it's sticking out, and subtract from the button the number. Oh no, something went wrong. No solids or surface regions selected. What went wrong? Well, there's a clue when I hover over it. Notice all the buttons light up because it's an array. You have to explode the array. So now it's individual buttons. There's still 3D models. So I'm going to click on one button, subtract, change this to conceptual so you can see it a little bit better. And you can see now the number is indented into the button. Then I can do all kinds of fun things like color the faces. Pick the bottom face, give it a nice red color. I can pick the face again, pick color, pick side. You can change all the colors if I want. It's kind of cool. Okay, so I'm going to turn the buttons off again because there's another thing I need to show you. Once you, let's see, let's go to layers, buttons off. Okay, so back to our numbers. Let's go back to the top. Once the numbers have been exploded into stencils, you cannot edit them again. So it's really important. Now, the other thing is, for some weird reason, the number 4 and the dollar sign, or the number sign, the pound sign, always have problems. If I try to extrude the number 4, it gets wonky. Notice why. Because part of it is self-intersecting. So you can't do that. I'm going to undo back. You need to change this polyline so that it's not self-intersecting. And by self-intersecting, it means it's got this extra line on it. Let's go back to the top view, zoom in. You can just go polyline. Oh, let's try. Let's change our layer. Because try to draw on button when it's turned off, you won't be able to see it. So we'll go to text. So I can just draw a polyline and trace over these points and close it. Delete that old polyline, change my view, extrude, enter, 0.02, union, and it becomes 1. Same thing with the numbers. This one's self-intersecting. I think this one, no, that one's good. That one's good. These two are self-intersecting, so you need to fix those. Now, let me show you something really cool. So I'm going to do a bunch of undos. So just bear with me for a second. So I want to take it back to before I transform the numbers by exploding the text. Okay. So this is pretty normal text, but under annotate, if I change the font that's assigned to that text style, instead of Arial, I can do something really cool. I can do Webdings, and I can get play, reverse, rewind, fast forward, a bunch of different symbols. Let's try different Webdings. Webdings, Webdings, there's a different one. I know it's kind of silly, but I can do the same thing. I can go to Express Tools, modify text, text explode. Ah, notice the error. View needs to be in plan 001. Can't explode the text unless it's looking straight down at it, like a stencil, something I forget. So grab that all, it explodes. Go back to the Home tab, go to Extrude, and extrude all that. change my visual style. And so I can get all kinds of different shapes and symbols in addition to just the simple numbers. So I'm going to undo back. This is a little confusing. Take it back to just the numbers. That's all there is to it. I know it's a lot to absorb, but just play this video over and over a couple times and you'll see all the potential that you have for transforming your numbers into 3D solids that you can emboss in the top of your buttons. You can reseed into your buttons. You can do all kinds of symbols. You can lots and lots of different tools that you can play with using your 3D editing tools that you're familiar with by now. That's all there is to it. All right.